Excitements building ahead of a Calcutta Cup week as always?
Yeah, it feels like a Six Nations weekend. It feels like we've got a huge game in England straight away, because you would do the normal training despite the fact there's no crowds. You'd have the edge and the focus and energy of training, and we've seen that this week. So it'll be different when we get to Twickenham on Saturday. We know that, but just now it feels like the start of a huge tournament.
You surprised a lot of people when you announced Cameron Redpath was part of your squad, and now you've put him straight into the team to start a Calcutta Cup match. It would seem a bold move, handing a young player his debut in such a huge game. What was the thinking behind it?
Well, he's good enough to play. He's played really well for his club this season. I've been really impressed with him in games where maybe away from home or up against it, he's had that same fearless mindset of wanting to take on the opposition. He's a fierce competitor too, and he'll have a big role to play in defence. But we also see his skills in attack. So we think it's the right time for him, and he'll learn each test match he plays. He'll learn from those guys inside and outside of him. But no, we're looking forward to seeing how he goes.
With his youth, does he bring a bit of fearlessness as well? It is new, it's all fresh. He perhaps doesn't have any of the Twickenham memories of the past. Is that something you can tap into as a positive? And of course, he knows a lot about the guys he's playing against as well.
Yes, I suppose so. We've got a few fearless guys in our back line anyway. So and that's the mindset you want. Whenever you're going away from home, you want people that are confident to show their strengths, express themselves, and things aren't going your way to have a real go at the opposition. And we've seen that from Cam, and he seems really, really happy with what he is in terms of building relationships with Chris outside him and Finn inside him, and we've seen his skills all week at training.
Yeah, Finn Russell, I would imagine, be one of those fearless ones you would be referring to. He's had some of his finest matches against England. How important is it that he is one of those big games? And do you think he's maybe the one player that perhaps England fear?
I can speak for England. Look, it's important we all have our best games. We're playing one of the best teams in the world just now. We're playing them on their home patch. So it can't be down to one player or two players. There's got to be 15 and 23. And our team realise that. They know that we have to front up in every battle we'll face, whether that's set piece, defence, kick chase. When we've got the ball, we've got to take them on, and we've got to do it for 80 minutes.
Thanks, Gregor. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Gregor. About a year ago, you said that you wanted to make Scotland a nightmare to play against, and obviously your defensive record could have spoke for itself in last year's championship. If you could pick an aspect of your team's play or identity that you want to take the biggest step forward this year, what would it be? Well,
it would be around the attack. I think you want to build on areas that are already strengths. So defence has shown that, our set piece, and you want to build on areas that are very important to winning games. So defence, set piece are those, but so's attack. If you make more line breaks in the opposition, if you score more tries, you're gonna win games. And we didn't always get that right in the autumn, but we learned a lot about ourselves, about the players we have, and also where the game's going and where there are opportunities within the game. You don't always get your attack out in a game. Weather's dependent, and opposition defence is obviously dependent on that. But we feel with this team we have that they're going to bring their own strengths, own decision making, and own skills up against no matter who they play. Thank you.
James. Hi, James here from Sky. Can you hear me all right?
Yes,
Hi, Greg.
James.
Cameron Redpath, he played a lot of youth rugby, obviously, with England. Can you just tell us how he came to change his allegiance or pledging his allegiance to Scotland?
Well, I think Cam's in a situation we find a lot of players in, where they're dual qualified. Obviously, his dad played a number of years for Scotland. All his family are Scottish. He was born in France, so he's actually got 3 qualifications. and was brought up in England because that's where his dad, mum and dad, ended up living and through work. So he's played Scottish age group and English age group, and that's something that the players, because of circumstance and because of location, get to do. I know it was a tough decision for Cam to finally make his decision on who he wants to play for, but we're delighted that he chose Scotland, and he gets an opportunity now to show what a good player he is.
Yeah, he was in a few England squads. Do you think England missed a trick by not capping him sooner?
I don't know. Like he's only been playing really regular senior rugby this season, and we've been impressed with him. The potential he's always had at age group has been shown regularly at professional level for Bath, and we believe that a skill set together with his mindset, his real competitive mindset, are great attributes to succeed at the highest stage.
And just finally for me, without fans in the stadiums, do you think the rivalry, the intense rivalry we've seen in England-Scotland games gone by will still be there?
Yes, 100%. It's the first game of the tournament. We play for one of the oldest trophies in sport, 142 years since we've been playing for the Calcutta Cup, 150 years since this game first played. So the rivalry will always be there, and it should be an intense test match.
Just one question from me, please, sir. In the wake of the Maitland incident last year and the Josh Asham things yesterday with Wales, how much of a riot act or warnings have you been giving your boys about COVID protocol over the last week or two over the time that you've been in the camp?
Yeah, I wouldn't probably use those terms, but we've had a lot of reminders. One this morning, following on from the incident with Wales, and looking ahead to the weekend on how we have to project ourselves and the behaviours we have to put in place. Now we're in a real public stage, but our players have been great. While it does need reminders every now and again, we know they're following the protocols really well, and we're just going to make sure we continue that throughout the 7 weeks.
Gregor, hi there. Do you still look back on your previous trip to Twickenham and take lessons from that? Obviously, there were two extremely different halves. Is that still in your thinking ahead of this game?
Look, we've referenced the last 3 years where they've all been close games. Last year's was a very close defeat. I think it was all square with about 50 minutes to go. Obviously, it was a draw 2 years ago, and then we'd won the year before that. So this group of players have played in those games, the majority of them. So we can take confidence in that when we got things right, when we played to our potential, we became a real threat for England. And that's what we have to do now for 80 minutes on Saturday.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Julian, would you like to follow?
Yeah. Hello, Gregor. I just wondered, what did you feel about the fact that this game's obviously going to be without a crowd? Do you feel that gives you a better chance of breaking that long run at Twickenham without a win?
Who knows? Ask me in the final whistle. Our last 40 minutes at Twickenham with crowds was not bad, but we know that the 40 minutes before that and the 40 years before that has been very tough. What we do know, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity because the first game it is an opportunity with no crowds. You can't deny it, but you got to take the opportunity. It becomes more of a neutral venue, but you've got to make sure you play rugby, not wait for any crowd, lack of crowd noise to help you.
Do you feel that the team has benefited from that experience of winning in Wales in a sort of similar situation?
I hope so. They showed real resilience that day. We had 2 or 3 injuries that could have affected our team, but it didn't. We played consistent rugby throughout that 80 minutes and ground out a win in the end. Came back from being behind in the second half. And prior to that, we won in Italy, so the players have got good experiences now away from home in the Six Nations. So performance is there. It's just about making most of the opportunities that you create to get the win.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Gregor. I was also going to ask you about the crowd, but you've kind of covered that one off. I just wonder, kind of generally speaking, you know, obviously Twickenham hasn't been a happy hunting ground for Scotland for so many years, but how much of an opportunity is this, you know, to go in there, really perform and sort of set the tone for the whole campaign?
Yeah, it's a massive opportunity. Our players realise the chance they have. They're the first to be selected in the first game where we play for a trophy in a game that means more to our people than any other. It won't always be perfect, every game of rugby, but especially your first one. We've got new combinations. We only spent a week and a half working together, so there'll be times where we don't get things right. There'll be times when England do get things right. So it's about making sure we ride those moments, and we are consistently proving a hard team to beat, and then taking our opportunities when they come.
And just sort of following up on that, then, is it all about the result rather than the performance on the weekend?
Yeah, look, from a coach's perspective, they're aligned. You're not going to win at Twickenham unless you have a very good performance, one of your best. But yeah, it's about the result. It's about the result for the tournament, for our supporters. But we'll need a very good performance to get that result.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Liam from Rugby Pass, would you like to go next? Okay. Ali, would you like to go next?
Hi, Gregor. Darcy Graham, no Darcy Graham this time around. Are you able to update there? And also Dominic Mackay, this is his last Six Nations. Can you say anything about the success, the part he's played in Scotland's success, and what impact do you think he'll have at Celtic?
Oh, these are difficult questions to answer. Look, Darcy's trained with us. That's also all I'll say on Darcy. He obviously had missed a few weeks with Edinburgh, but it's great. He's back training and looking really good in training. So he'll come into the mix for us over the next few weeks. With Dom, we wish him well. It's a great job to go into, and obviously he's been a big part of the success off the field that Scottish Rugby's had over the last few years.
Thanks. John Cassidy, would you like to go next?
Hi, Gregor. 150 years, massive milestone, obviously for any kind of sport, sporting fixture. Is there anything extra you've been trying to instill in the lads ahead of the match, or is there anything that you've sort of had on your mind about that 150 years?
No, we've explained to the players that we are going to commemorate 150 years. We're going to have the names of the 20 players that played in that game, the 20 Scottish players that will be emblazoned on the jerseys. And they're aware that they're playing in the most historic rugby game, the first ever international, and playing for a trophy that's 142 years old. So that's something special to be a part of. So you can tell that as we go through the week and the team's announced and they realise the special occasion this is going to be, the edge and the focus goes up at training. The energy was sky high this morning. And I think that's because they realise what a big occasion and opportunity this will be on Saturday.
Thank you.
Gregor, can I just ask you another question, please? Just George Turner, obviously it's his Six Nations debut and a big one to come into. You're confident he's going to grasp that opportunity?
Yeah, George is another one of these fearless players that we have in our squad. He will take on anybody defensively, loves chopping down big players and run hard with ball in hand. He's got other jobs to do in that hooking position around the set piece. He's got some experienced players in the scrum and also in the line out to make that process as smooth as possible. But we look forward to seeing George putting in his big tackles and also getting hands and ball. I thought he had a very good autumn, and when he's had opportunities at Glasgow in the past, he's played really well.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Okay, any final questions for broadcast immediate use?
Gregor, can I just ask what you made of England's selection in the midfield? The way they look to be going physically. Does that tell you the same thing?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Obviously, they've brought in Ollie Lawrence for a couple of games in autumn, but the combination they've used most over the last few years have been Ford and Farrell. So it might mean a change of style with having one less kicker there, but I'm sure they'll get Ollie on the ball a lot. With Manu Tuolangi, they certainly had a power-based game plan around first phase and aiming to get quick ball through that. So we got to make sure we don't let that happen.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ed.
Cheers, thank you.